You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Tuesday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
If you're new to the podcast here, you need to go back a few months and learn that Dalby smells like roast beef.
Allegedly smelled like roast beef a single time, and even then, I'm pretty sure you were just making shit up.
It's a running joke here that Dalby smells like roast beef, and I think this is so funny. I don't know if you've seen the post that your girlfriend put up on Facebook this morning.
I have.
I don't know if she did it on purpose or if she's going with the bit. She said, roast beef cooking for tonight.
Yeah.
Our house smells like roast beef.
Yeah, no, she also sent me a message saying, our kiddos and I will be smelling like beef today. The stew is on the slow cooker.
As a Dalby family does, you know?
See, and this is where I'm at. This is what you've done to my personal life. Because people think about like, oh man, Brock gives Dalby a hard time on the show sometimes. But then I go home. I went to a family gathering the other day with my daughter wearing a Dolby shirt. Mm-hmm. I get my girlfriend sending me messages about how we all smell like roast beef. And the other day, my son was playing a game in which he had to take care of a turtle. And he goes, oh, Dad could never play this game.
I know some people might say I'm wrong for these things, but a broken clock is right twice a day.
Well, you haven't been right yet, so when does that part start?
Does your family not smell like beef right now?
Shit!
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I want to start by wishing everybody a good morning, except for the person who scared the crap out of me this morning. On my drive to work, there's a stop sign just up the road in my neighborhood, and there was a person just sitting on their porch, rocking back and forth this morning at about 4:30.
What?
Right? Thank you. I was so worried that I was going to bring this up and you're going to be like, what's wrong with that?
So they're just sitting on their porch at 4:30 in the morning?
Just enjoying the pristine 4:30 a.m. views of the neighborhood.
They
apparently.
smoking?
No, because I would have understood that, right? Like, hey, we've all been there. You got to go outside for a smoke or whatever.
Maybe waiting for a ride or something?
Just sitting with the porch light on, had a little blanket over them, just rocking back and forth. And as because now I'm looking, right? They catch them out of the corner of my eye. I look over, and what do? They give me a little wave. Oh. Just a little how do you do?
I'm glad they waved because they're going to say maybe we should check on them.
Well, that
it's
was
pretty cold outside.
There was a part of me that was kind of looking close.
Older individual, younger?
I would say older.
I was going to say maybe we should go check on them. Maybe someone forgot them outside last night.
Honestly, like you could see them pretty well with the porch light on. They seemed like they were just having a good time, just enjoying the peaceful calm of the neighborhood.
You might have seen a ghost.
Okay, don't put that evil in my head, please.
Who's sitting out on their porch at 4:30 in the morning in this weather?
Well, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I guess, like, if you bundle up for it, this is the kind of weather that being outside is not the worst thing in the world.
I don't know. That sounds like paranormal activity.
It's sketchy, no matter what. Like, because that's the thing, right? Flip the clock. 4:30 p.m., I pull up to that stop sign, and there's someone sitting outside. Again, in the wintertime, it's still like, that's kind of weird. But you go, let people live. But at 4:30 in the morning, like is happening with the two of us right now, it just asks too many questions. What could you possibly be benefiting from other than scaring the very few people that drive on that road at that time?
It's the wave.
It's well, is the wave creepier or was it nice because then it was like, okay, they're alive?
That's just what makes me think it's a ghost. It doesn't make sense to be sitting out on your porch at 4:30 a.m. It doesn't make sense to just be sitting outside right now.
Just a very friendly, chill poltergeist, just hanging out on the lawn.
Down from your house?
Yeah. When, from my house, I go down the road and there's that stop sign and then you turn.
Yeah.
They were like the last house right there. Huh. Just waving. Just
that
hi.
House is haunted. Nothing good happens in this kind of darkness right now.
Well, and that's just it. Like I said, there are some things that can happen in the daytime, and then when they happen at night, it's just infinitely worse. As a matter of fact, 762-555. What's something that is perfectly normal, totally legit and acceptable in the daytime that becomes creepy in the wee hours of the night?
Waving at someone.
Just waving in general. Whether you're on your porch, side of the road, if you are stationary and waving, I assume that this is an I know what you did last summer situation.
If it's after midnight and someone is waving at you, it's probably not a good, they're probably up to no good is what I assume.
Very few situations in which you would see a wave at 4 a.m. and go, that's probably going to turn my day around in a good direction.
Yeah. If someone goes, hey, buddy, come over here.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Thank you very much, Spirit.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Y'all got to stop telling me I saw a ghost last
You must
morning.
definitely saw a ghost last night.
I was driving into work. I saw someone sitting on their porch. They waved at me. Here I'm thinking, I'm like, that's a creepy person. That's going to bother me the rest of the day. And now Brock and everybody else is telling me I had a paranormal experience this morning.
You have to go back and knock on that door and just at least ask and be like, I saw someone here at like 4 a.m.
Okay, so here's my question. What if you're right and that's a ghost and you're asking me to go get myself murdered? Huh? Now, how do you feel?
Well, am I in your life insurance?
Not if you're the reason I go back and get killed.
We asked you guys, though, 762-555, what are things that are just creepier after dark? We got a friend of the show, Ryan, on the phone. You got a story, man?
Yeah, so we're driving by a playground once at like 5 in the morning. I saw a little girl on a swing set, scared the hell out of me.
I have a theory that if you hear or see children after midnight, they either have horrible parents or they're dead. They're ghosts.
Either way, I got the hell out of there.
Hey, that's the only reason you're here to tell the tale today, brother.
There you go.
So many people, because we asked the question, is what's something that's not particularly stand out during the daytime that becomes weird once it's dark? A couple people said watering the lawn. Man,
Yeah.
you're just driving along. It's like 10, 11 o'clock at night, and there's just somebody standing out there waving a hose back and forth.
Even seeing people like wash their cars.
Dude, if I saw someone washing their car on my way to work in the morning,
Murderer.
4:30, 5 in the morning, they're cleaning blood off the grill.
That's some Dexter stuff.
There's no reason to clean your car that early in the morning unless you are hiding evidence.
Yeah,
brother.
yeah.
That is the only thing.
Well, I mean, if you see someone walking around with a shovel and it's not for snow, like, you know, in the winter you could get away with it. In the summer, yeah.
No, I'll say, I think in the winter you can get away with it in your own driveway.
Yeah.
You know what? If it's like 4:30 in the morning, there was just a big snowfall, you're trying to clear the car to get to work. Okay, you take 2 steps past the end of your driveway, still carrying that shovel at 4 in the morning, you hit a body.
Yeah, it's kind of like running at night, right? It's like, are you really into fitness? Are
Right.
you running from the law? Like,
It's all about the pace. If you're out for like a jog in the bright reflective clothing, I still think you're a psycho, but it's a psycho for fitness.
what are you running from?
If you're not wearing anything reflective or you're going too fast, I assume you've committed crime.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Yesterday, Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump did pause the tariffs for right now.
Yeah, they had a good phone call. That's what they said, right? They talked in the morning and then they were like, we're going to have another good phone call in the afternoon. And then they were like, all right, 30 days. We're on timeout.
But everyone in Canada seems super fired up, or at least they're trying to be very Canadian right now.
Yeah.
And we got this voicemail.
I don't know if you guys saw or not, but there's a radio station in Quebec, and they're only playing Canadian music right now in honor of our country and, you know, all the crap that's going on. So I was thinking that's what you guys should do. You guys should only be playing Canadian music right now because that's our country.
That's our country.
That's our country. I do love they're only playing Canadian music because of our country. It's like, no, it's called marketing, my guy. That's why they're doing it.
I don't hate the idea. I mean, there's so many great Canadian bands that we
Sure.
forget about, so I do love it like that. But imagine if we lived in a world where we weren't allowed to play anything that's not Canadian content, like not only just on the radio, but on TV, like movies and stuff. If we
Right.
were only allowed to take in Canadian content.
That's just it, right? Like everybody was like super like, we're going buy Canadian. We're only going to Canadian stores. We're only buying Canadian products, listening to Canadian bands. So y'all fire up little mosque on the prairie when you got home yesterday, or did you maybe watch some American television?
Just Littlest Hobo on repeat.
You're not allowed to watch the Super Bowl this Sunday. You've just got to watch old CFL Grey Cups.
Imagine if you were limited to only watching Canadian smut.
You go online, you get into the old incognito mode, and you click on a video, and it goes, oh, sorry, this video features American performers.
Hoser went from something you called a Canadian to its own category real quick.
The watch time is through the roof.
The oh yeahs just turn into oh yeah for sure, bud.
No, yeah, no.
stay where you at till I comes where you to has a whole different meaning, dude.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I just have a question. I want to know if you guys are in favor of turning off power to the U.S.
No, absolutely not.
We should do it during Super Bowl Sunday.
It would be hilarious. Don't get me wrong, I love the meme. But for every person who would then no longer be able to watch the Super Bowl, you would be turning off life support.
Or we just flicker their lights on and off every couple hours.
You know what? I like that. I like that better.
Yeah.
You'd have to reset your clock, every couple hours. All the lights are going on and off.
Just enough to reset the stove.
We mess with them like an older brother, you know?
Exactly.
Now you have me on board. Turning off the power to the states, there's just too many innocent people that suffer. But if we're a mild annoyance to the entire country, I'm on board for that.
Perfect.
I personally think every border city, we should all stand there and just do the DX suck it to them.
It's like hands across America, but it's crotch chops across Canada.
Yeah. Suck it across Canada.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Former President Joe Biden has apparently officially signed with a Hollywood talent agency.
I saw this. Apparently, it's re-signed. Apparently, it's the same talent agency he signed in after he was the vice president.
What was he signed with a talent agency for?
So when he was Barack Obama's vice president, and then that term came to an end, he wrote a book and signed with the talent agency and apparently did American tours promoting his book.
Okay, I thought this guy was getting into like Hollywood or something. I thought he was going to try and become an actor.
Dude, imagine. He's a modern day Clint Eastwood. Like modern Clint Eastwood.
Literally.
Super old.
Honestly, he should start doing mattress commercials is what he should start doing. I'm Sleepy Joe.
My name's Joe Biden and I've fallen and I can't get up. Now a word from Medical Alert.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Kansas City Chiefs are looking to go for the three-peat this weekend at the Super Bowl. But apparently they might not be able to call it a three-peat.
Why would they? I mean, if it's 3 in a row, that's what it is.
So legally, NBA or former NBA coach Pat Riley back in the 80s actually trademarked the term three-peat when he thought he was going to do it with the Lakers, I think back in 89.
Really?
So he trademarked it back in the day, and any team that has ever three-peated ever since then, both times the Bulls did it in the 90s, the Lakers, the Yankees,
he gets a cut.
They had to pay him 5% of all the sales from anything that had three-peat on it.
That's got to be tough, man, to be Pat Riley and to watch the Bulls go on to win 3 in a row. And you're just like, oh, my God, these guys. But then you get them checks and you're like, oh, it's not so bad.
It's super bittersweet not to be able to do it for yourself, but still kind of win in the end.
Also, just brilliant. Because, I mean, it's almost the lazy way to say it, right? It's not a repeat. It's a three-peat. It happens so rarely that we haven't really put a lot of effort into finding a different way to say it.
And there's a rumor that the Chiefs are trying to figure out their own way around it. That way they don't have to pay out.
Oh.
So that's why even during like when they beat the Bills, they were calling it like a Chief Pete or a three chief.
I hate
and that just doesn't work as well.
No,
right?
Those are not good. Those are bad.
I mean, there's other like ways you can say three, but like a thrice Pete doesn't sound as good.
Well, I mean, listen, just cut out the beating around the bush. You get a T-shirt. It's a picture of Pat Mahomes, Roger Goodell, and a referee, and you just call it a three-way.
The three-way? Yeah. The threesome.
We got the threesome, baby.
The threesome.
We did it.
We're having triplets.
We're having triplets.
Hey,
you know what they say? Triples is best.
Triples is best.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I went grocery shopping yesterday, and it did feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
Walking through the aisles, because it was before the whole Trudeau-Trump agreement.
Right, when it was still impending tariffs.
And everyone was taking their sweet-ass time as you went through the aisles, looking at the back there, trying to figure out if it's a product of Canada or if it's made in Canada, all this kind of stuff.
And just clarifying, because I've heard this, made in Canada does not mean it's Canadian.
No,
right?
it just means it's manufactured here.
It's product of Canada
that you're looking for.
You're supposed to check.
And it was funny going through the aisles, even like the chip aisle and stuff. And it looked like everyone was a health nut at the grocery store yesterday.
They've been trying to get us to read the ingredients on all the food at the grocery store for decades. They've been asking us, please look into the foods that you're buying. And now it's the tariffs and patriotism that has people looking on the back.
I will say, I was trying to do the same thing yesterday. It is tough because, I mean, a lot of the actual Canadian products so much more expensive.
Well, there is that. And then it's also like the marketing dollars down in the States that lead you to believe whether it is the best product on the shelves or not, that this is the best product. You know the brands. Like, even for me, you know me, I love my chips. I found out that all of a sudden it's a bad idea to buy Lay's chips. Mark Messier told me to eat these.
You got to be an old Dutch guy now is what it is.
I do love an old Dutch chip. Don't get me wrong.
I did feel like people were judging each other.
Oh, for sure.
Like, as I was at the checkout, like, I bought a few American products.
Hey, sometimes you can't go pure Canada.
And I felt like every time the lady scanned one, it was like in my brain. Shame.
That's replacing the boop, boop over the scanner.
Every time you boop for an American item, it's shame.
Oh, you know, some of those old gals that work the tills at grocery stores these days, you know they get messy in your business. They're judging every product coming down the conveyor.
Instead of a scan, it's just, sorry, bud.
Sorry about that.
Sorry, bud.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Looking out the window, it's a little hard to do the made in Canada and the fruits and vegetable section at the moment.
That is true. Yeah.
I want to be patriotic and all, but I ain't getting scurvy for Donald Trump.
I feel like that's a reasonable line to draw in the snow.
If it comes from Florida, I mean, that's basically Canada right now.
That's true.
All of our grandparents are down there.
Doesn't send me an orange.
A lot of people, though, on the text line saying that they are making the effort to buy Canadian, but a few people are confused because we talked about the product of Canada versus made in Canada argument.
Which I'm glad that I saw online that there is a difference between the two, because I feel like when I go to the grocery store, if I'm deciding that I'm going to be super pro Canada and I look on the back of a product and it goes made in Canada, I go, all right, into the cart.
So made in Canada, I believe, is 51% has to be made or at least processed in Canada.
Okay.
Versus a product of Canada is 98% of the total direct cost to create the good occurred in our country.
So made in Canada is not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
There is still a majority minimum of it that is part of this country. But product of Canada is that, like, that's that next level.
Yeah, product of Canada is essentially like everything from almost A to Z was done here.
This show is product of Canada.
So, I mean, hey, we joked about the F. Trudeau sticker guy like a few weeks ago. If it's not a product of Canada, then it's not as good.
Oh,
right?
there's no way those stickers were product of. Maybe they were made in Canada, but they're definitely not product of Canada.
Now, if you were conceived outside of the country but born in our country,
would you say the threshold is 95%?
98%?
98%?
Is that still a product of Canada?
Oh, I don't know, man. I feel like as long as both of your parents are Canadian. I would say if you're any more than like 10 clicks over the border, you're not a product of Canada anymore. You're made in Canada.
You're made in Canada.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
So my son is 8 years old and apparently is already having full-on crushes on some of the gals in his class.
Okay.
Came home the other day to tell me, he goes, Dad, I finally got up the courage to talk to my crush, which I was honestly shocked. I was like, you're 8. What do you mean your crush?
Nah, it seems about right.
Is that the time? Because I'm feeling like, I was trying to think about this. I was feeling like I wasn't interested in girls until like grade 5, grade 6. Like, I feel like I was still at least a couple years away when I was 8 years old.
Yeah, I feel like I had crushes, though, early on, you know?
Well, he tried to pull the trigger on it, and he went up, and apparently he asked her, and apparently got shut down pretty tough. Poor guy.
Poor guy was feeling it last night?
He was going through some emotions, yeah. Well, and especially because it doesn't help that he got dared to tell her that he had the crush, because that's the other thing, too, right? When you're that age, dare might be the most powerful word in the language of an 8-year-old. 8 to like, I would even say up to like 15.
Yeah.
When your buddies dare you to do something, you're just not smart enough to know, I don't have to do it.
The stakes are high. Yeah.
So he pulled the trigger, didn't work out. But I just honestly, like, I was trying to think how I would have handled that situation. Like, when I was 8 years old, I don't think I would have been very smooth in trying to tell a girl that I had any interest in her.
I mean, did he say what his line was? Like, did he go up and he was like, hey, I don't know, you want to play wall ball?
I don't know if he had a lie. He didn't say. He just told me that he told her, like, hey, I just want to let you know that I've been noticing you and I kind of have a bit of a crush on you. And I was wondering, like, do you have a crush on me?
I'm just trying to think of like 8-year-old pickup lines now. Hey, do you want to come play the iPad at my house sometime?
That's where we're at nowadays. You want to come over and play Roblox?
You want a Fortnite dance with me? Anytime, babe. Anytime.
Can I offer you some V-Bucks for the pleasure of your company?
My dad put some extra Oreos in my lunch if you want to join me.
How about you and me meet in the middle of the monkey bars with a snack pack and talk about what's happening?
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
It was like the tender young age of grade 3. My dad was working for a company where they handed out Leaf tickets every now and then. He's like, hey, if you want to ask this girl out, tell her that we can go to Leafs and Stars. I'll sit nearby. You guys can have your own night.
Oh, hell yeah,
so I went
dude.
up to her the next morning. I'm like, hey, do you want to go to a Leafs game? And she's like, let me think about it. So she waits until recess, gets all the friends around, and she's like, no.
Oh,
and then I'm like, and then like somebody's like, are you okay? I'm like, just let me wallow in my own self-pity. And go figure, that line followed me around for a while.
Oh, that's brutal, man.
All tragedies like lead to good things, right?
Yeah,
so
she doesn't know what could have been,
just gotta
man.
grow from it.
Do you have trouble watching the Dallas Stars play the Leafs?
Oh, dude, back then I think it was the Minnesota Stars.
Oh my God.
This pain goes back.
Thank God that team folded.
Oh man, yeah. I do have a hard time with the Leafs though. So sorry, brother.
Honestly, being a Leafs fan teaches you rejection very easily. Yeah.
Oh, buddy.
I think Toronto sports fans in general probably have a better time with getting rejected by girls.
Honestly, if you have not seen your sports team win a championship, or if you haven't seen them win in a significant period of time every single year, feels like you start to develop those feelings. You get those infatuations. Everything starts to build up. And then they break your heart.
I mean, the first round of the playoffs is literally asking a girl out. So that's the equivalent right there.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Time to send a text. 762-555 is the number to send us a text. Ask anything that you want to. Questions or concerns. You can ask anything that you want. Just send us a text right now. 762-555. Send a text. Ask us your questions. We'll try to reply. 762-555. Ask us your questions right now. That was Andrea Broccelli. Time to send a text.
You know, it was right on the tip of my tongue, and I just couldn't remember quite how to pronounce it.
All right, first question in here says, how do I win over my girlfriend's kids?
Ooh, that's tough.
As two people who are stepchildren and someone who's technically like in a step-parent role right now, what would you say?
I'm definitely playing stepdad role. I mean, the biggest thing is you can't rush things. Like, you can't try to be stepdad, stepmom right away. You've just kind of got to be the other adult in the house.
I think you got to be the cool adult.
You have to be, you have to be friendly, you have to be playful, but you can't fall into the trap of becoming best friends because then the first time that comes around where you have to ground or discipline or any of that stuff.
Well, even if you're not living in the same house, even if it's just someone you're starting to date and like the kid's there, like I think you got to like butter up to them a little bit.
100%. Absolutely. You got to try and weasel your way in a little bit, but you still have to keep those boundaries. But yeah, the biggest thing is just like, don't jump the gun.
Yeah.
It's like when you're trying to pet a dog, you know? You can't go too fast or you'll get bit.
Give them a game or something so they go get lost for a little bit, you know?
That's also an option. Yeah, just get rid of them, sure.
Someone says, bought a frying pan for the first time in forever. Do you guys remember the last time you bought a frying pan?
Oh, 2 weeks ago. I bought a new, because I only have non-stick pans, which you're not supposed to get too screaming hot, otherwise it screws with the coating. And I wanted to get better sears on my steaks, so I bought a stainless steel pan.
I've had the same cast iron pan for probably like 6 years now, and then I think all the pots and pans we've had for 5 years now.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Buddy, just wait. If you and Courtney ever do decide to make it official and tie the knot, have a wedding, you'll have more pots and pans than you know what to do with.
That's the only reason to get married is
You'll
for pots
be
and pans.
swimming in cookware, brother.
Someone said, who do you think can squat more between the two of yous? I want to say you, but I also know your knees aren't good.
I mean, here's the fact of the matter. If I have to bend down to tie my shoes or pick something up, I'm squatting 300 just to get back up.
Sure.
Right? Nobody ever talks. All anybody wants to talk about is the weight on the bar. What about the weight on the bones?
Now, I will say I have watched you get up from a chair before and heard your knees pop. So.
Well, to be fair, my knees started popping before I got fat.
Yeah.
Right? That's just from years of sports.
I think you could do more weight than me. I think I could do more reps.
Oh, almost certainly.
Easily.
Yeah. I got a good one max, but that's about it.
Someone said, what is the best type of cheesies?
I'm a Hawkins guy. I don't like a soft cheesy. I like a cheesy that fights back a little bit.
I'm not a big Hawkins guy unless they're cold.
Really?
Hawkins in the fridge? I don't know if anyone else has done this before. I had a friend who she used to put them in the fridge, and Hawkins hits different when they're cold.
Damn, am I going to buy Hawkins cheesies on the way home today?
In general, I had a buddy growing up whose family put their chips in the fridge. Cold chips actually is very nice.
How big is your fridge? I don't have room for that in my fridge. That's too much.
You get like a Cool Ranch, a legit Cool Ranch. Very nice.
Damn, you got me thinking about stuff here. I still wouldn't do a cold Cheeto, though.
Cold chips could be the move. I'm telling you, try it out sometime.
All
right, what's one we can wrap up with here? Someone said, what's a good pickup line for Tinder matched with an absolute dime this morning?
I just call her an absolute dime and see how that works, since he's probably going to slip out at some point anyway.
Send her something like, are you the bottom of my laptop because you're really hot and it's making me nervous?
I don't think it's a great idea. And I say this as someone with absolutely no game whatsoever.
Send her the, Lightning McQueen from Cars.
Ka-chow?
Send her like a gif of Lightning McQueen and just say, ka-chow you doing?
Oh my God.
This is the Brock and Delby Podcast.
Ed's word of the day.
Let's see what he's got.
Good morning. Today's word is rantipole. Yep, rantipole. It's Rantipole. Rantipole. And it's characterized by a wild, unruly, or boisterous manner. I've been to parties like that. Anyways, that just about does it. Have a great one. Cheers her up.
Rantipole. So what? Just basically someone who's reckless?
Essentially, looking at Merriam-Webster, there's 3 definitions. 1 is reckless, quarrelsome person. 2 is a wild, unruly manner or attitude. And 3 is acting like a rantipole, which doesn't feel like a real definition.
I'm young and rantipole, dude.
I feel like we've all had to deal with someone who could be described as rantipole. Like, just... why are you always trying to start a fight?
Yeah.
Always trying to pick a fight with everybody.
Tequila makes a lot of people rantipole.
Tequila is got to be the number one cause of rantipole, with whiskey right behind.
Sometimes you get together with the fellas and it's like, let's get rantipole tonight, you know?
Rantipole can be a good sort of theme for the evening, as long as you keep it in check.
Rantipole is a great drunk alter ego. Like, if you're one of those people that turns into an absolute mess, your alias is Rantipole now.
Just Rand Paul.
I'm Professor Rantipole.
Rand T. Paul.
Yeah.
On my fake ID.
Rantipole. Use it wherever you can today, all right?
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store. With all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.